Hello everybody, good evening, welcome. It's my September live stream. It's been a while, it's been a few weeks. I seem to be slipping into a bit of a monthly routine here with these. I hope that's okay for everybody. Suits me fine, I'm okay with it. Yes, here I am again. Hello, those of you that are here already. I've had a few people checking in and saying hello to everybody who's done that so far. It's good to see you all. Hope everybody's keeping well. We've got funny times here in the UK at the moment. It looks like we might be heading towards a second lockdown. I might have to start renaming these Stuck in My Room again like they were a few months ago, but hopefully everybody's safe anyway. So yes, hello everybody who's joined. I've got lots to talk about tonight, some of which is questions that you sent me over the last few days. Thank you for that. When I put a little message out there at the weekend saying that I was going to do this, and of course any more that you want to send through at your end on the chat now, send them through. Please send them through, and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about on here. Okay, it's your live stream as much as it is mine. I think I've just got the pressure at this end. So I'm going to talk about. Was there some questions that came through just on here? I didn't see. There were some people who said that they couldn't make it, but thank you anyway. Yeah, Ross, hello Ross. You've asked about McCartney III rumours. Yes, we're certainly going to be talking about that. That's an interesting one that's come out fairly soon, so we'll certainly be talking about that plenty, I imagine. But yes, hello everybody from all over. Just tell me in the chat where you're from, just which country you're in or town or whatever. I'd love to know, because a few of you are saying USA, Argentina. Brilliant. This is great. So just let us know where you're from. That'd be great. Thank you. So anyway, I'm going to start off by going through just a few of the questions that came through over the last few days when I said I was going to be doing this live stream. Some of them, if I don't read it out, it's because I probably know that I'm going to be talking about it anyway. So that's why I might not read out some of them, but ones that I didn't think I'd be talking about anyway, I have picked out. So, hang on, before I do that, we've got a few things coming through where we've got Guernsey, Huddersfield, just up road in Huddersfield, Italy, Belgium, York, Sweden, Canterbury, Belgium, Newtopia. I like your national anthem, Alan. That's very good. Hampshire, Oxford. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Halifax, even nearer up the road. Right, before I get onto those questions, there's just one I've just seen from Oliver. Did you see the 4K bed piece that was released a few days ago? So this is for anybody who hasn't seen it. I noticed this morning, first of all. So on the John Lennon official YouTube account, and maybe elsewhere as well, it says 4K, but you know it's not 4K like your new Avengers movie would be, but it's about an hour long, and it is loads of stuff from the bedding. It's got that interview with what's that guy's name, Cap, who was a bit of an idiot, but he had some good points. I can't remember his full name, or I don't even know really who he was. Does anybody know what he was? Was he like a journalist or something? And it's got him, and it's got all sorts of other people. I've watched about half of it. I am going to watch the other half. Anyway, I'll come back to the rest of your questions. Keep firing those questions through. I'm going to go over these ones from the last few days, as I keep saying I'm going to do. Nikon User 5, regular viewer. Hello, Nikon User 5. Are you still reading The Longest Cocktail Party, or have you finished it? If so, what did you think of it? So I'd mentioned a few times that I'd got this book. I've got it here, The Longest Cocktail Party. Your answer is, you can see there, I'm about halfway through it at the moment. Because I'm busy with something else that I'm going to show you in a second. It's very interesting. Is this the level of detail that you won't find in other books is very interesting. So for anybody who doesn't know, this is a guy who called himself the house hippie. He worked for Apple in the late 60s. And it's like a sort of diary of what was going on with, you know, all the Hells Angels turning up, and what was happening with the Beatles comings and goings, and I'm sort of up to about the point of the Let It Be sessions at the moment. It's very interesting. He was clearly taking a lot of substances, but yeah, it's a very interesting book. Is that I'm about halfway through it. So that was that question from Nikon User 5. The last few bricks, so I think was on here earlier on saying he was sorry he couldn't stay around, but he said Beatles movies ranked. Okay, well, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do a video on that. I wanted it to be about now, when the new Peter Jackson film came out, because we'd have also got the re-release of the original Let It Be, and I could have had that fresh in my mind, because it's a long time since I've seen it, but obviously that's been scuppered, so I'll probably have to wait a while to do that video. But I am going to do a video on that. But all I will say is that the one that I enjoy watching most at the moment, although I wouldn't necessarily say it's the best, I'm more likely to put Magical Mystery Tour on the Blu-ray than any of the others at the moment. And he asked me about what was my favourite Beatles photo, if that's possible to have one. And I don't have a specific one, but what I tend to really like is those the sort of really early photos, which are the ones where they didn't know what they were going to be. They had no idea what was about to happen, and there's just that sort of innocence in them that they didn't even know there was an innocence there, because they didn't realise the crazy life they were going to have. So I like seeing photos from before they became what they became. They're the most interesting to me. Anthony H, I think Anthony's on here. Hello Anthony, how are you doing? You alright? Anthony said, Anthony always has good questions. What's your favourite non-studio album Beatles compilation? For example, anthologies, live at the BBC, etc. So I've come prepared. For this, Anthony. I've picked out my two favourites and the one that I was most looking forward to ahead of release. My two favourites are Anthology 1 and Love. I would love to have a Love 2. Let's have another one of these, because I love those, especially the first half of that album. They're my two favourites. The one that I absolutely was more excited about than any other before it came out was Anthology 2, just because it was going to cover the whole Revolver, Sgt. Pepper, Magical Mystery Tour period, and I thought, oh, the fact that we were going to get like the Strawberry Fields demos and all that kind of thing, that was the one. And I did tell a story, I think, on it might have been one of my other live streams, I can't remember, about the excesses that I went to on the week that was released to be able to listen to it. I ended up buying musical equipment because I was away from home, that I then returned at the end of the week just so I could listen to that for the week. So there you go. And Alex Shelbourne, I don't know if Alex is here, but hello if you are. Alex said, did I think that the new Lennon compilation rules out the possibility of individual sets for Plastic Ono Band and his other albums? And no, it's just opinion at the moment. I don't think it does rule it out. I wondered if it was a little bit like what it looked like with Pure McCartney. I know with Pure McCartney there was sort of that story that I don't know how made up it was about. You know, he wanted to put together a playlist, and it was based off something one of the ladies in the office said. I don't know how true that is. It might be, but that felt to me like they'd done all the remastering that they needed to do for future archive sets. But because they'd done that investment of time and money to do those, let's have some products now from it. So that seemed to me why Pure McCartney came about, partly. And I wonder whether it's similar with Lennon. I wonder whether they've actually done the remixes of the albums, and this is a way to actually get some return on the investment of doing that remixing. Maybe. I have ordered, by the way, I know I did a video sort of when it was announced, but I've ordered that, is it 2 CDs and a Blu-ray version with the big 124-page book. I've got that ordered, and I'm going to be doing an unboxing on this channel, as I always do, hopefully on release date. Might even be a little bit before, because of the people who I've ordered it from. They sometimes get things a little bit before release date, fingers crossed. So that'll be coming anyway. But no, I think they've done that because there's remixes to come, but they want to get people excited about, oh, this is how good this stuff can sound. Maybe, I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'm going to come to keep firing your questions through. I am going to come to them, so I'm just covering off some pre-questions, and then I'll come to all the stuff that you're sending me through. Thank you at the moment. And the last one that I wanted to cover was from RoboTube, and we had a bit of a discussion about this to see where he was going with it. But it was sort of basically asking about the Cold Cuts album that never officially got released, but he was sort of wondering about whether we might see that. And I've kind of got this theory on Cold Cuts, and I don't know how accurate it is, but I know we've had some of the things from Cold Cuts, even if we can pin down exactly what a track listing should be. We've had some of it on the archive collections, and people keep saying, "Oh, I want Cold Cuts to come out." And I personally don't think that we'll ever see an album released by Paul with the name Cold Cuts. And daft as it might sound, it's because he's such a vegetarian, and Cold Cuts conjures up images of, you know, Boxing Day leftover turkey and ham and such like. I can't get in my head the concept of Paul McCartney releasing an album that's based on the name of Cold Meats. It doesn't sound right to me, but that might be, I don't know, that's just my thoughts on it anyway. So yeah, that was a few of the questions that I got beforehand, and like I say, some of the others I knew we'd be talking about tonight anyway. The reason I'm only halfway through this is because, oh my goodness, I've spent so much time reading this just lately. I don't know if you can read that. The Beatles tuning, Mark Lewisohn, which is, you see the full thing up there. So this is the expanded edition. This is the second of the two books, and I'd sort of dabbled with it. I looked on Amazon the other day and realised that it was actually 6 years ago that I bought this, and I'm still just working my way through it. But over the last 2 months, I've been doing this so much, and it is. I don't know if you've read this. Let me know if you've read this, but this is the greatest book about the Beatles that I think there is and probably ever will be. It's just incredible. I'm right up to the point at the moment where Brian Epstein's trying to get a foot in the door at EMI, and obviously that'll lead to George Martin. But wow, I mean, I'm learning so much. EMI did not want the Beatles at all, and it was only because of another guy, I think they called him, was it Kim Bennett, and him really sort of pressing for it that this ever happened, because George Martin had already said no, and the EMI had flatly said no to the Beatles. But this one guy just sort of kept hammering at it and saying, no, there's something here, we want this. So the level of detail that's in this book is incredible, and absolutely loving that. But it's 1,800 pages roughly, this first volume, and that only goes up to Love Me Do. I think it was about 100 pages in before any of them were even born. It's just such detail, it's great. So that's why I've not read all of That Longest Cocktail Party. Anyway, I digress. Let's catch up with what people have been saying here, because I've been kind of otherwise engaged, haven't I? So what have we got? We've got there's comments about McCartney III. I can't put this off any longer, can I? McCartney III. Well, it looks like it's happening. It's not official by any means, but I kind of kept quiet about this because I read some of the things that I guess there'll be other people on here read as well, and it must have been about a month ago now that there seemed to be pretty sort of substantial evidence to say that we were getting a new Paul album before the end of the year. Not a compilation, a new album. And then it must have been maybe getting on for 10 days, 2 weeks ago, 10 days-ish, that we found out it looks like it's McCartney III. And I was a bit reluctant I didn't want to go diving in with a video saying McCartney III's coming, because I thought, it's not my place to do that, is it? It's but it's just all over the place now. I can't ignore it any longer. McCartney III, it looks like it's coming. Like I say, it's not official, but the people who've been talking about this, they've got too good a reputation, I think, to have risked it by coming out with something that's not happening, is my opinion. So it sounds like Paul's been using his lockdown very productively. I imagine he's probably been working on this It's a Wonderful Life musical soundtrack as well, but it sounds like he's made McCartney III on his own. And we know that he was kind of stuck in England for a while. He said on an interview that he was stuck in England, Nancy was stuck in America, and they worked together. So I guess he had a lot of free time during lockdown. But McCartney III, this would be amazing, wouldn't it? If Paul's written and recorded it all on his own, produced it. I don't think he has to do the mixing of it himself. I mean, I don't think he did with either of the first two McCartneys, and he's got 78-year-old ears. It'd be nice to have some younger ears that hasn't done thousands of gigs as well mixing this thing. But it looks like it's coming middle of December. Was it the 11th or the 14th of December? I think it seems to be pretty strongly suggested by people with reputations, shall we say. So I'm really excited about that. It's I love the first McCartney album. I love McCartney II. It would be great to get a third one on there. So let me know what you're thinking about that. I'm sure you will, and we'll come to more comments about that as we go through. So anyway, what else have we got? I'm just reading through. This is all your locations where you all are. We've talked about the 4K bed piece. Anthony's got another question. Am I a bit red? I'm a bit warm. I'm not as warm as I was last time when it was just a sweat fest after an hour, but it's still pretty warm. In your opinion, is London Town a one-sided album? For me, side 1 is infinitely better than side 2, because besides Morse Moose and the Grey Goose, which I love, is it a one-sided album? Well, let's get it off the shelf and just remind myself which one is on, which songs are on each side. No, that's Wings' Greatest. We don't want that, do we? Wings, London Town. Here we go. So, there's the track list for anybody who wants a little read of it. Try and get no glare there. London Town, Cafe on the Left Bank. What are you saying? Are you saying side 1's the best? Side 1's infinitely better. Okay, let's have a look. Well, I'm Carrying is the standout tune for me there on side 1, without a doubt. I think London Town's good, Cafe on the Left Bank's good, I'm Carrying is brilliant. And then I'm not massively fussed about the rest of side 1, if I'm honest. Side 2, With a Little Luck, I love the album version. I've talked about that so many times. Deliver Your Children, Don't Let It Bring You Down. Do you know what? I think it's actually fairly even. I think they're both good sides. I don't think either of them's great. But overall, it's a good album. I'm saying that's a two-sided album, Anthony. I'm saying anyway. Right, where are we? Let's have a look. Al Cap, yes, he was a cartoonist for a paper. Okay, it's interesting watching him because he goes, it's filth. And John says, do you think it's filth? No, I'm denouncing people who think it is. Well, make your mind up, man. So sometimes he seems to be talking sense. Sometimes he's just an absolute idiot. Anyway. Al Capu was a right-wing cartoonist, writer of Lil Abner. Okay, I don't know. Lil Abner, I guess is that a Canadian character? I don't know. Favourite TV shows? Oh, we're getting off Beatles. I'll answer that in a second, because it's nice to be asked some other things, because it does seem to have. Oh, thank you. That's good, isn't it? My missus has just handed me an opened beer through the door. Wonderful. She does look after me. Anyway, where was I? Yeah. I'm going to come on to favourite TV shows in a second. It's nice to be asked things that are not just about the Beatles, because I didn't intend... This has become a lot more Beatles-centric as my YouTube channel and videos than I intended. I didn't really intend that, but it seems to have gone that way, which is great, because I clearly love the subject. But should I talk about other things as well, other than just Beatles? Let me know what you think, because I'd like to be honest. Favourite TV shows, anyway. I will watch anything with Ricky Gervais in it. I will watch anything with Steve Coogan in, Peter Kay, that kind of thing. So comedies wise, that kind of thing. And just, I don't like watching crap reality shows. I'll rule them out. Anything else, if it's good, I'll watch it. I've finished the Paul McCartney biography written by Philip Norman. Have you read it? If so, what's your opinion? If I have read it, it would be an awful long time ago. So he wrote Shout, didn't he? Which was the Beatles one. I don't think I've read a Paul McCartney one of his. Let me know the title of it if you can, Miguel. That'd be good. I'd like, might jog my memory a bit. You Never Give Me Your Money, David. Yes, I've got that in an Amazon wish list. I am going to buy it. But I'm just busy with these other books at the moment. I want to concentrate on them, but I've got that one. I'm definitely gonna read that one. I'm gonna get it. It's about £8, so that's okay. I'm gonna get that. Pepper Chips, a new book about John just came out. John Lennon 1980. It's a new book. Right, is that just featuring in the last year then? That's interesting. There is also, I keep forgetting about this, there's the Plastic Ono Band book coming out as well. Has anybody else got that ordered? That's coming out back end of October. I keep forgetting about it, and I keep seeing it on my Amazon orders. I ordered it, and then I was like, what the heck's this that's coming at the end of October? Oh god, it's that new John Lennon book. I noticed him advertising it again today. Also as well, somebody had put in the comments, this was quite interesting on Facebook. This was just a few hours ago. So the John Lennon account had advertised this book that's coming out at the back end of October, and somebody had written, what we want is a Plastic Ono Band Deluxe like the Imagine box. Can we have that? And a reply came from the, I mean, it says it's from John Lennon. I mean, that would be impressive if it was. But the official account replied saying, let's see if enough people say they want it, shall we? And we might do something about it. So all these people piled on, me included, saying, yes, we want it. So hopefully things like that. I always think it's a good idea if John's account or Paul's account or whatever, when they start talking about press to play or Plastic Ono Band, it's always worth hammering them with comments saying, we want an archive collection if you want one. Because they're going to see that. They're going to see that, oh, people want this. The last thing they want to do is put out something that they don't think people want, and I think it's a great way of telling them. Slow down, man. Come on, I've got an hour. Yeah, I don't know about that book, Pepper Chips, the John Lennon 1980 book, but I'm interested in finding out. I shall have a think about that one later on. Right, so what else have we got? Oliver says, do you like Pink Floyd? I've talked about that a little bit before. I do like Pink Floyd. I've got a few of their albums on vinyl, Dark Side of the Moon, Meddle. I like Meddle. I've got quite a few more on CD. I'm not a huge Pink Floyd fan. I'm not a completist. I'm not a collector of Pink Floyd, but I do like a lot of the stuff, and I do appreciate everything that they've done. I like Syd Barrett era Pink Floyd as well. I just think before he went, he was a bit of a genius. I like his Madcap Laughs album as well. That's always worth a listen. That he did after he left Pink Floyd. The album Love on vinyl is a wonderful thing. I bet it is. I mean, it was right in that period when not many people were buying vinyl, so there weren't many copies, and now it's really expensive. I assume it's really expensive anyway. That is a bit of an assumption by me there. But let's have a re-release of Love on vinyl and make it an affordable price. I'd have that. Anthology. David says the anthology shouldn't have had Free as a Bird and Real Love on them. Well, you may have seen what I saw earlier on, the new John Heaton video, and he said the same thing on there. So that's twice today I've seen that. Yeah, I kind of agree. It's obvious why they were on there, to sell the albums, but artistically and the flow of the albums, it's a bit weird. It would have been good maybe if they'd had those two, and the blooming third one that we never did get. It would have been great to have had them maybe at the end of Anthology 3, maybe. So yeah, but I love Real Love. I think it's a fantastic song. I absolutely love that. Geert, is that right? Am I saying your name right? Strange there was nothing from Flowers on Pure McCartney. Well, I think we know that the reason for that was that it was planned as the next archive collection, so they didn't want to. They didn't want to put loads of remastered stuff out there when it was going to be the next one. And I've just scrolled and it's gone like that, like it always blooming does, and I've missed where I was. So I might have just missed some comments, but we'll see. So yeah, Mike says Pure McCartney was released to complete the contract with Hear Music. Yeah, I think it was. It was, but the fact that they had those remasters there, I think, meant that it was a good candidate. They needed something to finish that contract off, and I think they sort of had a good reason to do that with the investment that they probably made getting that stuff remastered. Harry's not happy with my Mickey Mouse cup. He says I should get a Beatles one. I've got loads of Beatles cups, mugs, whatever you want to call them. I've got a good one up here that I don't think I've shown before. I bought this in Liverpool last year at the John and Yoko exhibition. It's still in its there you go. That's I don't want to be a soldier, Mama. I don't want to die. That's a nice one. It's getting a bit dusty up there now. I've got so much stuff to put away later on. Chris said, yes, this is interesting for anybody who's not heard about this today. Did you know Radio 2, that's BBC Radio 2, are doing 2 documentaries next weekend for John Lennon's 80th birthday? I don't know if it'll be next weekend. Will it be the weekend after? I'm not sure. Sean Lennon is doing a show where he's interviewing Paul McCartney, Julian Lennon, and Elton John. That's going to be interesting for their memories of John. So that'll be good. And I think there's some other sort of rarities music programs as well. So if you've got access to the BBC, they're going to be very good. I'm looking forward to them. Right. Del Wood says they had to drop a song or two from all the best vinyl and cassette for the CD and drop Maybe I'm Amazed. Has there been a worse tracklist decision? Yeah, dropping Maybe I'm Amazed is bad, because it used to be when CDs, in the very early days of CDs, it kind of went the other way with bonus tracks, didn't it? Whereas later on you'd have extra songs on as bonus tracks, but in those days it seemed to be that they missed some songs off on CD, which was a bit weird. I've got playlists set up in iTunes for the cassette version, which is what I originally had and what I absolutely hammered to death in the late 80s. And then I've got another playlist set up for the CD version as well. But that cassette version was absolutely brilliant. But yeah, leaving off Maybe I'm Amazed, a bit weird. Mark Lewisohn is fantastic, says Ruby. Mark Lewisohn needs protecting. We need him to stay fit and well for probably the next... Well, I won't be surprised if it's 10-15 years before he's finished this series of books. But can you imagine... I mean, I was thinking about this, and can you imagine... Let's go back in history. Beethoven, Mozart. Imagine if there'd have been somebody around then who was documenting to that extent their lives, how great that would be today for historians. Well, Mark Lewisohn is the guy who's doing that for future generations. Nobody else is doing what he's doing to that extent. It's just brilliant. And the thing I like with him as well is he's not afraid to say if something's not known. He will quite happily say, we don't know this, or John Lennon says it happened this way and Pete Best says it happened this way. He will quite happily tell you that we don't know that, or here's the conflicting evidence, make your own mind up which you believe. Whereas I don't really see that so much in other books. It's people just sort of saying this is what happened, but he will not put his name to something unless he knows that it's unless he's researched it to such an extent. Yeah. Okay. Ruby's going to read the tuning books. You will not regret it, Ruby. They are immense. They really are. It especially got interesting for me from, I think it was like page 350 or something, which was July the 6th, 1957. John and Paul meet for the first time. It was interesting up to then, and then it just lifts off after that. And you go through the period of them two getting to know each other, bringing George in, all the different band members going off to Hamburg, Stuart Sutcliffe, and yes, it's just brilliant. Loving it. Where am I? Unemployed Freak reminds me of a story Billy Joel told where he hid his cold cuts. You don't mean you don't mean a bootleg album. You mean actual pieces of meat, don't you? In various cabinets because McCartney was coming to visit, and then 6 days later he smelled something strange and remembered. Brilliant. That's like the trick of students putting a fish behind the radiator because they don't want the house to get sold from under them. Brilliant. I've not heard that story. That's good. Peter's on his third time of reading Tuning. Wow, brilliant. I mean, it's taken me 6 years to get to this point in it, but I certainly want to go back and start again with it. Kevin says, with possibly no Beatles releases this year, do you think the Christmas album may get released? Well, can you see it up there? Yeah, you can see. There's the vinyl version of the Christmas records. I don't know why they didn't do it on CD at the same time. It was a bit odd. Now it seems a bit weird if they do it. So I don't know. It looks like everything Let It Be related is getting pushed back to sort of August, September next year, doesn't it? It looks like they want to do everything together. So we were kind of hoping that Let It Be would still come this year, and maybe it will. But there's no rumours out there at all to suggest that that's happening. So it looks like they want everything to be sort of kind of together. So I don't know. Maybe because anything Beatles related's got to be approved by Paul and Ringo and Olivia and who have I missed out? Paul, Ringo, Olivia, Yoko. Because we've got hopefully sort of John Lennon Plastic Ono Band, because we've got McCartney III coming, because hopefully we've got All Things Must Pass coming, they might say, well, actually, we don't want any Beatles stuff. We want our own stuff to take centre stage for once. We shall see. Right, so where Mark Lewisohn should write about the anthology sessions. Well, he'd certainly know a lot about them because he was heavily involved, wasn't he? I think you'll probably find his name plastered on this stuff anyway. Yeah, there you go. It says, I don't know if you can read that. Additional, I don't know if that'll focus. Additional research, Mark Lewisohn. So he was working for them at this point. He was there. I noticed he was there on the one of the videos in the Flaming Pie box. Was where Paul sort of sat in his studio talking about stuff. It's Mark Lewisohn is there, one of the guys interviewing when he was still working for them. So yeah, that'll be good. Maybe he will one day, but he's got more important things to do, I think, at the moment. McCartney III sounds much better than the musical. I'll have to wait and see. They might both be terrible, or they might both be brilliant. We don't know. Temporary Secretary 2, we've had that. It was called Back in Brazil, and it was on Egypt Station. Oh, well, it reminds me of that anyway. What else have we got? Yeah, we've got plenty of talk here about McCartney III. I'm certainly going to keep up to date on McCartney III and see when there's an announcement, which is rumoured for middle of October, so we'll talk about it then. We'll have a track listing, we'll have all sorts of detail then. Again, assuming it's happening, we've got to. It certainly sounds. I'm now at the point where I'm assuming it's happening. I'm still a tiny bit sceptical, but it seems like it's happening. It'll be interesting to hear what McCartney III would sound like by comparison to the previous two self-produced albums. Trying not to get too excited about it until an announcement. Yeah, it's. I mean, you can't accuse McCartney and McCartney II of being similar albums, can you? They're so blooming different to each other that that McCartney III could be as well. There's no reason why it has to be like the first two, because he certainly didn't follow the first McCartney with an identical sounding album. So, you know, he's going to he makes the rules here, if there are any rules. But I'd like it to be something a bit more experimental. I know a lot of people say that Electric Arguments for them is the nearest to what they think a McCartney III should be like. But you'd want him to be just a little bit further out there, wouldn't you? Well, I would anyway. Hello, Greg. How are you doing? You alright? So you probably typed that about 20 minutes ago. I'm trying to catch up. I really am. So Pepper Chips. This box gives a new and positive view of McCartney II. Are you talking about the McCartney II archive? Are you talking about that? If you are, then yes, it's absolutely brilliant. It's one of the best archive collection deluxes, I think, in my opinion. Yeah, so what else have we got? Lots of hellos. Harry wants me to stick to the Beatles. Okay, interesting. Am I a fan of Warren Zevon? Am I kind of a fan of a few songs? Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner is one of my favourites of his. Lawyers, Guns and Money. So I know the odd song and I like the odd song, but I wouldn't say I'm a fan as such. It's probably somebody I need to learn a little bit more about. Well, probably a lot more about, but the songs that I know, like those two and obviously Werewolves of London, they're really great songs. Right. Where are we? I've got I've got I do quiz questions, don't I, on these? For anybody who's not been here before, I sometimes throw in the odd quiz question. So I've got my first one of the night while I just let a few more comments build up. So, first person to name, and then I'll come back and catch up on stuff. What was the name of the John Lennon solo album that has Paul McCartney on the front cover? There we go. That shouldn't be too difficult, I don't think. But there you go. There's a question. Let's see if we get some answers through for that. Right. Okay, where am I? Wonder if Radio 2 will say what Andy Peebles thinks of Yoko now and his views on the real relationship between John and Yoko. I don't know, because of course he did. Where is it? This was Andy Peebles, wasn't it? 6th of December 1980, John and Yoko interviewed by Andy Peebles. It's a really interesting listen, is that John was obviously, he was on good form, he was sounding very happy that day, and obviously it's very bittersweet listen with what happened just afterwards, but I presume Andy Peebles is still around, is he? I don't really hear of him now, but I assume he's still around. Is there something particular there, David? Is there a particular reason why? Is there something I should know about Andy Peebles and Yoko? Did they not get on? I don't know. Right. Okay. Yeah, Nick on User 50. Hello there. I don't know if I've seen you in here yet tonight. I did ask your question earlier. I did answer your question earlier on, if you didn't see. It is an expensive book, is the Lewisohn, but it's, my God, it's worth it. I got really lucky on it. It suddenly, one day on Amazon, it dipped about half price, and I had a price watch on it, and it alerted me, and I got it, and then it went back up to double the price, and I don't think it's ever been back down again since. So I got really lucky on that. Yes. Free as a Bird original tape version would have made sense to close the third album. Well, that would probably be more for a John album rather than a Beatles album, wouldn't it, I think? But yeah, I'd like to sort of probably gather all these different versions of Free as a Bird and Real Love as well. That'd be good to get as many of those as I could. Oliver says, do you like Mark P's videos? I'm not sure whether that's ever cropped up on my screen before as a recommendation, so I don't know if I've seen those. It's weird how I don't understand sometimes how YouTube decides what to recommend to people. But there's some massive channels out there doing very similar things to what I'm doing, and you'd think it would recommend them to me. And sometimes it just doesn't. It's weird. So I don't know those, to be honest. But I'm happy to check them out. Miguel says this is it's named Paul McCartney The Life. Is that the Philip Norman one? 700 pages. That's hefty. So yeah, maybe I need to have a look at that. What kind of beer am I drinking? It's a Brewdog. Brewdog Punk IPA. It's nice, decent. There's a very good bootleg featuring Real Love, which has the final mix before it's sped up. Sounds much better. I would like to get hold of as many of those as possible, and I've probably got a few on various things. There's probably, if I did a bit of research, I could find a few there. We've got. Max says, thank you for your videos. Thank you very much. Highly recommend Nothing Is Real by two Irish guys, and Producing the Beatles. I've heard of Producing the Beatles, but I haven't read it and I haven't got it, but I have heard that that's a good book. So yeah, nice one. Thank you, Patrick. That's very kind of you to say. Have I heard Paul's collaboration with Yoko, Hiroshima Blue? That's from a while ago, isn't it? Was that very early in this millennium, or late 90s or something like that? I don't think I have heard it, to be honest. It's on a par with her other work. That's I think there's a lot more in that comment than what you've just typed, isn't there? I like some of Yoko's stuff. Some of it's pretty good. Yeah, I quite like some of it. Some of it's obviously really difficult. Hi RoboTube, I did your question earlier as well. Mark Lewisohn, the respected podcast Something About the Beatles is never gushing about his work. Less than complimentary, is that right? What's the problem with it, RoboTube? Let us know. I mean, come on, the guy's clearly, he is the leading person in that field. It's a bit weird to suggest that he isn't by anybody, I think. Pardon me, what's this beer? Oh, it's 9:40 already. Blimey, we're 40 minutes in. I've got loads to cover yet. You mentioned, says Anthony, that I was giving the Decca tapes a listen for a reason you had mentioned on the stream. Well, the reason, Anthony, I didn't mention it at the time. The reason was because I knew I was going to talk about this book. And at the time, I think it was Saturday, was the day when I got up to the 1st of January 1962, the day of the Decca audition, and reading all about what the lead up to it, how it came about, their New Year's Eve trip down to London, and just how badly it all went. And I just thought, what I've been trying to do while I've been reading this, and it's because I realise that I am a sad, geeky nerd often, and I don't mind admitting that. But what I've been doing with this book is, like, for example, when I was in the 1957-58 kind of era, and he often goes off, does Mark Lewisohn, to talk about what was happening around at the time. So it's not all just about those four lads. It's also about what they were being influenced by, what music was coming out of America and such like. So I would put on a 1957 playlist, and it would be those songs that he's talking about. So it was Saturday when I was listening to reading about the Decca audition, and I played the Decca audition on that day because it just helps you get into that mind frame. It might be the only time I ever read this book. I hope it isn't, but it might be. And I thought, let's do it properly and really sort of immerse myself in that. Saddo that I am, but yeah, that's why I was doing that, Anthony. Thanks for saying you trust your McCartney III source. That's me, Mr. Jinx. Yes, I do. There's yourself, there's Mazzy, and it's people who I don't think would have gone in this hard saying it's happening unless they knew it was. So I am still that little bit sceptical just because it seems so unlikely, but I just don't think that you and Mazzy and those kind of people would put their reputation on the line by being so adamant that this is coming. So there you go. There's the man where this is all kind of stemmed from somebody in the know who's... I won't go into any more detail, that's up to you if you want to do that. But there you go. Hello, Marcus Aurelius, husband to a murdered wife. Sorry I'm late, but I'm here. I hope you're actually not. That was a Gladiator reference, of course. I hope I haven't put my foot in it there. I'm gonna go red. Hi Andrew, good to see you wearing a sweatshirt this time instead of a literal sweat shirt like last month. It was ridiculous last month. For anybody who didn't see it, it was so hot. We were right in the middle of a heat wave, and I didn't realise. I knew that I was struggling, but then I caught sight of myself on screen about 3/4 of an hour in, and the sweat was just like, it was like this. It was ridiculous. I'm still pretty warm though, to be honest, but it's been chucking it down, rain non-stop all day today. Good old Yorkshire weather. Nigel Wood. Hello, Nigel. I emailed an anecdote to Mark Lewisohn about my mum and dad meeting the Beatles at a cabaret night spot watching Frankie Howard. Ooh, got a lovely reply back from him, and he fact-checked it. Brilliant. That's good. What year was that, Nigel? 'Cause is it something that would have been... No, probably it would be after this, wouldn't it, if the Beatles with Frankie Howard sounds like some sort of... They're doing TV shows or whatever. I also gave Mark Lewisohn a bit of information that he didn't know about. When would it be? Coming up to a couple of years ago now, when I went to a show of his, and I told him about a stop-off that the Beatles had done on the way to their first date of the 1965 UK autumn tour. They were going from London to Bradford. They'd stopped off in a place called Bawtry at a hotel, had lunch with the owners and some local kids, and there's photographs about it in a hotel there. And I told Mark about this, and I gave him a link to some photographs of it online, and he didn't know about that either. So hopefully, for you and for me, it would be great if those stories are in the next book with some sort of credit, because Mark does say that he likes to credit people. So that would be good if we've both contributed to the next volume. Ben Walker can't wait for All Things Must Pass 50th Anniversary Edition next year. Or will it be this year? We don't know yet. What I'm really waiting for is Give My Regards to Broad Street to be released. Does Macca hate the film, so delaying it? Maybe. I don't know. I still hope that All Things Must Pass is coming this year. Don't know. But I did hear something about that it might be delayed till about February, but that might have just been rumour. I have no idea. Does Macca hate the film, so he's delaying it? What does everybody think? Let us know. I would love to have an archive collection for Broad Street, including the film, information about the computer game. I know I've talked about the computer game a couple of times before. That was my big introduction to Paul McCartney when I won the ZX Spectrum Give My Regards to Broad Street computer game in a national newspaper competition, and that was my introduction to the world of Paul McCartney. It's got a lot to answer for as that computer game. A lot of money. Yeah. Hello, Patter? Is it Patter? Did the Beatles ever perform in the province of Quebec? I couldn't answer that. I honestly couldn't answer that. Maybe somebody else can, but that does remind me, just to let you know, if this is of remotest interest to anybody out there, I've just finished a new video, which I'm probably going to wait until next week to drop it. I was on holiday last week in Wales, and I happened to find out that where I was staying in Wales was the site of the Beatles' first gig in Wales. So I thought, that's interesting. I've got my camera with me. I'm going to go make a little film. So I went and toured the sites of where the Beatles played 3 times in a particular town in North Wales, including their first ever visit to Wales as the Beatles. And I just sort of toured the locations and showed where they played, and went from here to here, and this is where they stayed overnight. And so that's probably going to come next week. But you just reminded me there of saying about if they'd ever played Quebec, which I have no idea. But I know that they did play in North Wales a few times, because I've just made a film about it that's going to be coming in a few days' time. There we go. That was a cheeky little plug, wasn't it? McCartney III will be exciting, but there's a rumour he's working with Rick Rubin, the American producer. Yes. Well, he has been working with Rick Rubin. I don't think that's rumour. I think that's fact. What we don't know necessarily, I think, is what he's been working with him on. Is it to do with McCartney III? Or is it something else? Because there's a photograph, isn't there, that's appeared on the internet of Paul at some sort of big keyboardy thing, and I think that was Rick Rubin related, but we don't know if it was McCartney III. Because, you know, like I said a few minutes ago, Paul hasn't got a template for these McCartney 1 and McCartney 2. They're two very different albums. All right, they were made in isolation on his own, and that kind of fits with the theme of lockdown and working on his own. But if he wants to work with somebody else on it, he's allowed. Even if Rick Rubin was involved in... Does Rick Rubin do mixing as well? I mean, I know he did... The main thing I know about him is like what he's done with Johnny Cash, for example, and that kind of thing. But it'd be a good person for Paul to work with, I think. Ooh, I've scrolled and it's gone again. I've scrolled and it's gone again. Right, have I seen the newish film about the Beatles in India, says Pavement 422. I haven't seen it, but I've seen of it. I've seen the trailer. I was very interested to see that Mark Lewisohn is involved. So that's good. That immediately, to me, lends it a bit of a stamp of authenticity. So it was a guy, I think he was a photographer, was he in his early 20s, and he happened to find himself in Rishikesh, staying with the Beatles and the Maharishi in 1968. As you do. Lucky guy. And he's just made a film about it now. So, yeah, I'd certainly want to see it. I don't know where it's available to see. I don't know whether it's coming onto Netflix or Amazon or what, or whether I'll get lucky on BBC. So I don't know how to watch it yet, but I'm certainly going to when I get a chance. Hello, Graham Pratchett. McCartney III, second time I've heard of it. Well, you're going to be hearing a lot more about it, I think, over the next few weeks. Yeah. Marcus, will I be buying McCartney Half Speed Master on Saturday, Record Store Day? I certainly hope so. I've got a time slot booked, and it's the first time slot of the day at Jumbo Records in Leeds. Give them a shout out because they're a very good store. So I will be there at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, hopefully to get a McCartney Half Speed remaster. I have no idea whether it's going to be an improvement, but the Flaming Pie one sounded amazing, and that was a half speed master. So I'm going to get it, and I'm going to come home, and I am going to play it pretty much immediately, and at that point I'm then going to make a video on Saturday that says what I think about. I'm going to compare it to the original, well, not the original, but the Archive Collection vinyl, and I'm going to see what I think about it. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to say it sounds amazing if I don't think it does. So I hope to have that video with you on Saturday of me with a McCartney Half Speed Master in my hand going like that for a thumbnail picture, not a can of beer. 3 McCartney products in 6 months. Oh yeah, Flaming Pie. McCartney 3. What's the other one? I can't think. Should I know? I probably should know. I just can't think. Yeah, Let It Be's delayed again, Dave. It's the blooming COVID. It would have been out by now. It would have been out, what, 2-3 weeks ago? It's a shame. What do I think of the album cover? To give me some truth, says Oliver. So it's interesting that it looks more like Sean than it looks like John to me. I mean, I know obviously it is John, and it's Sean Lennon that's created this album. So was he naturally drawn to a picture that looked like him? I don't know. I don't quite like the arrows coming in and going out, like listening and talking thing. It seems a bit silly to have it on an album cover. Maybe have it on one of the pictures inside, but don't have it on the actual cover. So I mean, I like the photograph, but those arrows are a bit weird. I don't know Harmonium. Sorry, I don't know those. Did I watch the BBC documentary about the making of Band on the Run presented by Dermot O'Leary? I did several years ago. Has it been on again recently? I remember enjoying it at the time. I think it wasn't... It was after the archive, wasn't it? Was it more a sort of a 40th anniversary thing? But I remember it being a few years old. Yeah. So... What else have we got? Oh, blimey, is that how far behind I am on the comments that I'm just seeing all these rock and roll mentions? So I'm way behind. Yes, rock and roll. There's John, and there's Paul, George, and Stuart Sutcliffe blurred out there. Yep, thank you for that. Sorry I'm so behind. I'll try and catch up. Let's try and catch up a little bit. Oh, there's my missus there. Hello, love you too. I thought she was in bed asleep. Am I going to buy the 25th anniversary edition of What's the Story Morning Glory? I might get it on vinyl because I haven't got it on vinyl. One thing is, it's weird seeing that and then just my missus been just above it because we've just had our 25th wedding anniversary last week. That's why we're away. And we went on honeymoon then, not last week. 25 years ago. The day that we got back off our honeymoon was the day that What's the Story Morning Glory was released, so I always remember that. But I haven't got it on vinyl, so I might wait and see what people say about the sound quality of it. Harry says, From a Lover to a Friend is the best Paul track ever. That's an interesting viewpoint. I like the song. It's alright. But then he says he loves me shots. Thank you. Great stuff. Thank you, Harry. What's Mike saying? I was listening to Driving Rain recently. Despite the subject matter behind some of the songs, I think it's a strong album. I'm puzzled as to why it performed so poorly chart-wise. I don't think the singles helped. Sorry, Harry. We were just talking about From Lover to a Friend there. I don't think they scream pop album going by me. I think I do like Driving Rain. I think it is one of his poorest albums, but only because I think it's too long. I think it's about 20 minutes too long. I think you could cut a lot of stuff out there that could have been bonus tracks on Explorers editions of Driving Rain or something. God no, don't tempt him. But cut it down by about 15-20 minutes, and I think it would be a much better album. Anyway. have I ever done a recommended Beatle rated books review? I haven't. I've talked about books a fair bit, mainly on these live streams because people ask about them often, and I've talked about the ones that I enjoy. And while you're here, I'll pull it. The one that I always mention is Man on the Run by Tom Doyle. Paul McCartney in the 70s. It sort of goes from the sort of Abbey Road period, the breakup, through to pretty much the death of John. And that is a fantastic book. I really recommend that to anybody. We need an official vinyl reissue of Yellow Submarine Songtrack. Well, I keep seeing it. It's still in HMV. I think it's still available. £30 odd. I know it's expensive. It's blooming expensive. I'm not sure it'd be that much cheaper if they re-released it. So have a look, Oliver. I think you might find a decent priced one out there if you want it. Sorry, I missed. Hello, Rami. I missed Rami there. Have you heard the Beatles' Spectral stereo remixed first 4 albums? Matt Street did a review of them. I haven't heard them, but I've sort of taken a bit of an interest in hearing about the technology because we're getting these remixes of Beatles albums. Obviously, we've had 3 so far. Hopefully, we'll get Let It Be. Then, hopefully, I say hopefully, we'll go back and do Revolver and Help. Those first 4 albums, or the first few where it was all kind of 2-track, we need this spectral technology, demixing technology, to be able to get a good remix. You know, because if you've got a track at the moment that's got drums and bass on it, and then you've got another track that's got maybe guitar and vocals on it, you need a way that you can split it into drums, bass, vocals, guitars, and have those as separate tracks so you can do a proper remix. And I think this spectral demixing is the way to do it. So I'm interested in knowing more about the technology, but I don't think I've actually... I heard somebody had done a stereo remix of She Loves You, and I heard that, and it did sound pretty good. But I've not heard the actual albums. Right, where am I? Anthony, which decade has the best McCartney singles in your opinion? Oh, that's a good one. I do like your questions. That sounds like it's worthy of a video in its own right. Probably 70s. I think you'd have to say 70s. Probably. That's just spoiled the video. I'm not going to do the video now. Would McCartney III be his last album? Well, seeing as though I've just in the last few weeks done a video about Egypt Station saying exactly why it's a perfect last album if he doesn't do another, that's just kind of messed that up completely. Will it be his last album? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if this is... I mean, when's he going to be able to tour again? Has this year put an end to Paul McCartney's live career? I don't know. We'll find out. Time will tell. But you know, he can't have long left touring. He's going to be 80 in just over a year and a half. And this ain't helping because we don't seem to be anywhere near getting back to big gigs like he would want to be doing. Peter says Lewisohn reveals the truth about the George Martin contract and why George didn't speak to him afterwards. Yeah, I'm rapidly approaching that part in the book. I understand that that's covered, and I presume, I think, is it something to do with Judy Martin and what was going on there? There's something there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's one of the big things that's left in the book. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day. What have I got left that's big in here? I've got getting that contract with EMI, Ringo replacing Pete, and the sort of build up to the first single. I think they're probably the main bits I've still got to cover in the book now. Yeah. Rinse the Raindrops is an unregarded classic. I do really like Rinse the Raindrops. That's a real good rocker. It reminds me a bit of Road All Night. You know, that extra that's on the RAM archive. Rinse the Raindrops is a little bit like sort of 30 years later, that kind of thing, but probably a bit more fleshed out into a proper song. Outtakes from Broad Street would be interesting. Yeah, wouldn't they? That'd be great. I mean, it's not a great film, is it? But yeah, it's a long... I bet I haven't seen it for 25 years. So I'd like to see it again. I'd like to see it all cleaned up and properly released. Yeah, they played in Abergavenny, says Harry. Well, that's not where I was last week. But so my video isn't about Abergavenny. But yeah, brilliant. Rick Rubin ruins everything. Controversial. Well, hopefully he won't ruin whatever it is that he's been working with Paul on. Love the Yellow Submarine. It took me 6 hours to build that when I got that for Christmas about 3 years ago. This looks good from Unemployed Freak. One remarkable fact I heard is that Pete Best played far more hours with the Beatles than Ringo Starr ever did. It's probably true, because it probably is true, because one thing that I was reading in this book is just how it's weird how you've got this situation where the Beatles could not get a record contract. They couldn't do it. Everybody was turning them down. But simultaneously, because of Liverpool's sort of position, the way the rock and roll scene that they had going on in Liverpool, that just wasn't replicated to that extent anywhere else pretty much in the world, the Beatles were like one of the, if not the most experienced rock and roll bands in the world before they could even get a record, when they couldn't get a record contract, because of all the hundreds of hours that they played in Hamburg. So when you think, by the time Ringo joined, that's pretty much the time where they just started doing 20, 30-minute shows. Whereas Hamburg, they'd been playing 7, 8 hours a night, 6 or 7 nights a week. So Ringo would probably have to do like several dozen shows to match 1 week of what Pete Best did. So yeah, Pete probably put in far more hours on stage than Ringo ever did. It's I never thought of that, but it would have to be. Alan says the Beatles in Wales. Was that Rhyl, where I live? Yes, it was. I was in Rhyl last week. Lovely weather, and first time I've been there, and it was lovely. So yes, I did a little film in Rhyl. So you should recognise all the places. I was down at the Marina Quay, and looking at the Westminster Hotel and the Regent Dansette. So I'm giving away more than I intended to here, but it's nice to know that somebody's in the town where I was last week making this video. We've gone 10 o'clock. Shall I keep on going? Anybody in a rush? Also, as well, what I want to know is, let me know, and if I don't get a chance to read it now, I'll read it afterwards. Is 9 p.m. UK time on a Wednesday a good time for this? Now, probably the people who are here will say yes, because you've been able to be here. But anybody who's watching this later on, when it's not live, tell me in the comments, because I'd like to know whether I'm doing this at the best time for people. If there's a better time, I'll do it. I won't do 9 o'clock Wednesdays. McCartney's on Apple this time. Okay, that's good to know. So it'll be a nice, different, maybe in a slightly more authentic looking label. Sorry if I missed a few out there. I scrolled and it went again. Shawnee lives up the road from Litherland Town Hall. Again, I was reading about that just recently. Is it 27th of December 1960? The Beatles at Litherland Town Hall. They'd just come back from their first Hamburg stint, and it was their sort of big return. And they had a new bass player, didn't they? Not Paul. Was it called Chaz Newby on bass? I didn't play with him many times. It might have been his only gig. I don't know. But that was supposedly like the birth of Beatlemania. That was where the crowd just went crazy in Liverpool, and it was because they'd come back such an experienced band from Hamburg, and it just knocked people dead. So there you go. So what else have we got? When they do half master, does that mean they do it from original tapes? Well, Mystic Avenue, there was a bit of confusion, I think, on the McCartney one, because some of it said from original tapes, and then there was some other bit that said digital. What I understand was they have done it from digital, but that was a decision that was made to protect the master tapes, because you can only use them so many times. And it's probably the case now that they scan these things digitally at such a high resolution that it's probably better than getting the tape out again and whatever degradation comes from the tape. So no, it doesn't automatically mean it has to be from the original tapes. It's just the speed at which the information is cut into the grooves. What they say is if you do it at half speed, you can cut more detail in there, and it supposedly makes a better record. We'll find out on Saturday whether or not I think that it's an improvement on the McCartney, but there you go. Right, so where we go? What's my favourite song from Revolver? Ooh, Tomorrow Never Knows, possibly. Yeah. She said as well. Brilliant. But then again, Paul was absolutely on fire on that album. Eleanor Rigby for no one. It's tough. But the genius bit, the bit that's just so ahead of its time, I would have to say, is Tomorrow Never Knows. Yeah, there we go. Thank you for your congratulations on our anniversary. Thank you. Yeah, there's loads. Sorry, bear with me a second. I'm just trying to pick some stuff out because I'm going to come to an end soon, but I just want to make sure I cover as much as I can. Oh, this is an interesting one. Did the Beatles intentionally reuse the chord structure from It's Only Love when they wrote for the benefit of Mr. Kite? Didn't know they did. I'm going to have a listen to them 2 songs after this. I've not heard that one before, so I'll have to have a listen to that. Have I ever forgiven Paul for freedom? Yeah, it's fine. You don't have to listen to it, do you, if you don't want to? Yeah, there we go. Right, okay. How many times have I seen Mac alive? Where and when? Which was the best? Right, first time was Birmingham. This is not Birmingham, Alabama. It's Birmingham in England. Birmingham NEC, January 1990 was the first time. Couldn't see a thing because it was just before I started wearing glasses, and I didn't know I needed glasses at the time. So no, can't see anything. So that was obviously Flowers in the Dirt tour. And then it was quite a while after that. Next time I saw him. I saw him in Liverpool in 2003. That was the King's Dock. It was the last date of his world tour, so it was great. So he played Maggie May, and he played a couple of things that they'd done at the Cavern. Honey Hush, I think, was one of them, if I remember rightly. So it was a great sort of end of tour feeling, and seeing him in Liverpool was brilliant. I saw him in Sheffield Arena, maybe a year or so after that. It was the first night that he'd ever played Getting Better in the UK live. So I got a bit emotional at that, but I was right at the very back row of the arena, so I was a long way away. Then I saw him at Anfield, Liverpool's ground, in 2008, European City of Culture main headline event. Saw him do that. Dave Grohl came on and played with him a couple of songs. That was brilliant, and that's actually the last time I've seen him, so it's 12 years ago now. I don't expect to see Paul again live. You never know, but I'm kind of happy with those. Right, okay. Right, so 9 p.m.'s a good time, yeah? People here. Again, like I say, in the comments, let me know if 9 p.m. UK time on a Wednesday is good, is the better. If there's things that look like better times, then I may switch it. 1 hour earlier is better for us living in Europe, yeah, because you're ahead of us, aren't you? And our clocks are going to go back in a few weeks' time, so would yours go back at the same time as well? I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, I'll review all that later on. Phil Collins did a good cover of Tomorrow Never Knows, yeah. There was also one by, oh God, was it Brian Eno? Just bear with me a second. I'm just going to pull up my iTunes, because there's another really good cover of Tomorrow Never Knows that I'm going to mention to you in a second. Once I have found it, just give me a sec. Nearly there. Don't worry. Nearly there. It is 801 featuring Phil Manzanera and Brian Eno. I thought Brian Eno was one of them. Check that out. Tomorrow Never Knows by 801 featuring Phil Manzanera and Brian Eno. That is well worth listening to. Yeah, there you go. Do I think John and Paul would have played together if fate hadn't occurred? Well, there's all these rumours. Richard Skinner, Radio 1 DJ, he's the guy who interviewed Paul in 1986 for the Press to Play documentary. He apparently was the person who phoned up and spoke to Linda and said that John had died, but he's insistent that John and Paul had arranged to work together in January 1981. I don't know. It doesn't seem likely to me, but yeah, I think they would have done something. I'd like to think so. David says information how to watch Beatles in India film is on the Beatles in India website. Thank you, David. I'm going to have a look at that because I would like to see it. Was John Lennon serious when talking about Paul and How Do You Sleep? Well, as serious as John ever was, because he contradicted himself a lot. he knew that he was having a little dig there, and part of him maybe regret it a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Thank you for all your comments. I've had the most people watching that I've ever had. I can tell that. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to do another one of these in October. Definitely, I'll put on YouTube. I'll put a message out a few days before. Stay safe, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a fun hour as always. I didn't even ask all my questions. I'll do them next time. But stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Don't forget, I've got the McCartney remaster video coming on Saturday. The Beatles in Wales will be coming next week. Subscribe if you haven't done already. Don't forget. Thank you. Bye-bye.